So here we are, Faboratorium. We are with Bryan Gottlieb, right?
Correct.
Senior
Nailed it.
game
Beautiful
designer.
pronunciation.
Thank you. Senior game designer and lead developer for Flesh and Blood. And we're gonna talk about design, development, and heavy hitters, pretty much. We have after that some community questions if you would like
to answer.
Yeah.
And if you don't worry, it's okay.
We
No,
understand.
I would love to answer. Absolutely.
Don't
I'm
worry.
looking forward to it.
We know that
It's
you
okay.
can answer some questions and some not, so it's
they will understand.
Yes. We filter more or less, right?
Yes, we try to, because people can get crazy when this things.
So first
Yeah,
thing,
tell us what's in the next set. That's the question I get all the time. So yeah.
exactly. So first of all, Victor already won a huge event in Blitz. So how do you feel about that?
I feel great. Actually, internally, we had pegged Victor as being quite strong in Blitz specifically, which is cool. Blitz is a format that is very, very near and dear to my heart. Obviously, it's shifted a little bit away from the most competitive levels of our game. It's not at Worlds anymore, and certainly there's fewer opportunities to play quality level events in Blitz, but it's still very, very important. And it's the way a huge portion of our community engages with the game. So we do spend a good amount of time still thinking about it, and we wanted to make some good heroes for Blitz in this set. And I am very, very pleased to see Victor fulfilling that role, getting right immediately into it.
Yeah.
And he's just got some great numbers, man. And Blitz is a spot where numbers are still extremely, extremely valuable because the game is so condensed. So being able to offer that consistent damage output across so many turns, I think Victor's going to have a very, very healthy career in the Blitz format.
Yeah, I saw some games and he was like blocking for 6 and then swinging for 11. I mean,
Yeah, great
so
numbers.
much value. Yeah, the drawing effect of gold. It's so powerful. Yeah. You can block and then you have one more card in your hand. That's really nice idea. And
I think it helps a lot too that people just I say love Victor. I don't quite mean love. They have a very strong reaction to Victor. Victor oozes a lot of personality, and I think people just wanted to engage with that hero right away. And they were working on Victor from the beginning because whether Victor was competitively good or not, people wanted to play him. And then, very pleasant surprise, turns out Victor is quite strong as well. So I'm glad to see people pick up that hero and enjoy it right away.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Actually, as well, right now, for the Battle Harnet at Hartford, the second most represented hero was Victor as well. The first one was Dromai, 21 players were playing Dromai and 20 Victor, so he started
close to first place.
Yeah.
I mean,
pretty incredible. I mean, those people have to find all these Victor cards on the first day, basically, the set is released. Again, just showing the passion people have for this hero and how much they believe in it. So it's really good to see. And I could say that honestly about the vast majority of the heavy hitters heroes. I think Olympia and Betsy sitting a little bit further down the ranks at this stage, but those other 4 heroes that are the main focus of heavy hitters just pretty much immediately coming to play. Kasai finishing second over in the PTI event in Manila in her first day. Again, good representation over in the US Battle Hardened. So everything looking really good out the gate for these heavy hitters heroes in constructed formats.
Yeah, true.
So I have a question regarding heavy hitters and similarities between outsiders, because we have 6 heroes, young ones, but you here expanded that and went to 6 adult heroes as well. So how can you work with 6 young heroes and 6 adult heroes?
Yeah, so first of all, that is a framework we actually really, really like for our sets. It works very well, the kind of hybrid 3 classes, double representation within the set. We just learned from outsiders, it's very, very free in terms of producing good limited formats in terms of, just making really, really fun sets too. Sets that are fun to draft, fun to engage with. So I think we're going to come back to that structure quite often throughout the history of Flesh and Blood. It is, you
Oh,
know,
people will love it.
very successful. Yeah. And look, there's no reason not to, when we find a structure that works, look for new twists on it and to go back to it. We don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. You look at other games, they kind of have a bit more of a foundational grounding than Flesh and Blood. And, you know, we could talk about something like, say, Magic, for example. There's 5 colors in Magic, and those 5 colors feature in every single draft you go to. That's just the foundation. And then they kind of build structures on top of that. But even in that space, they find structures a little bit beyond the level of just like 5 colors interacting, and they return to them once they find they work. And I think we're going to be doing a lot of the same with this 6-hero structure. As far as the expansion of goals of this set, we have a bigger team, we have a better team, we have better processes in place. And frankly, I think if we made Outsiders today, you would probably see a lot more of those heroes had made the shift into adulthood. You know, something like Arachne Solitary Confinement stands out to me as a hero that if we went back in time, I think there's a good argument for investing a little bit more in that and making an adult hero there. But we just didn't have kind of the structure and resources in place at that time, and we needed to narrow things down a little bit. And still learning. We're still learning to this day. We're learning all the time, and I think we have learned that we have good structures in place. And also, we got a little bit more comfortable with the idea of that there can be varying levels of representation of these heroes out the gate. They don't all have to be constructed all-stars right away. And that is fine. We can build them out over time. Expansion slot has a lot to do with that, right? When we can go ahead and put cards in throughout, it makes it much easier to just be like, it's okay if this hero is not good out the gate, and we'll build it out in the next set or the set after that. So that is why you see more of a shift towards an adult focus this go around. And I think that will be more the norm than the Outsiders approach in the future.
I mean, you have a main Reiner and main Azalea here, so we are believers. Don't worry, we are long-term. We are long-term players. We can. I mean, we are here for when the best stuff comes for our heroes.
Thank you for
I mean, I've been
having the
Azalea from the very
patience.
beginning when tier Azalea was a thing.
Yeah.
That's how committed I am.
Yeah. And now you've had some good times, and you'll continue to have good times in the future.
Now it got better, but I mean, people can wait. I mean, real lovers of those heroes will wait.
Yeah.
They will.
Yeah, like Azalea with all the support that had in
Outsiders, that was
Outsiders.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reiner.
But I mean, I was playing Azalea before Outsiders.
I know, me too.
And that's the thing. And he's been playing Reiner from the very beginning. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a great relationship you make though. Like you were there with the hero through their worst times, and then when you get their good times, you kind of feel like you earned them a little bit. Like I don't mind that I just read in the ledger to you 6 turns in a row. Like I've done my time. I've earned this.
Get a bit of a like an outsider syndrome, you know, like like, do I belong here? Is this real? Am I winning? Something's wrong.
I understand it. Absolutely.
That's funny.
Well, actually, we have one question regarding
Which one?
The cards and the heroes.
Oh yeah, of course. Yes. People were very like keen to know if when you like create a hero, develop a hero, if you go all in from the very beginning, or if you keep aces in the hole, like for future sets, or you know, like thinking of maybe in the future we will need this support, or people will come up with these crazy ideas and everything will change and we will need to like adjust.
Yeah. The answer is it depends. It really does depend a lot. You know, kind of on a few things, how well we know the class, how confident we are in our determinations. I think something like the DTD heroes stand out to me as an example of heroes where we kept a little something in the bank, just because there was a lot of potential vulnerability in terms of just putting really, honestly, broken things out there. These are classes which had previously dipped toes into broken spaces. And when, you know, I remember many times giving folks their first look at Vincett's card pool and then being like, this can't be real. You can't make a bunch of, you know, free cards for this hero and just expect the Shadow Runeblade not to take over the game. And frankly, we were like, yeah, you might be right. Maybe this can't be real and we might have messed this up. So let's hold a little bit in the bank and just get a little bit more information and move a little bit more slowly. So that can absolutely happen. But sometimes you just kind of want to either shoot for the stars or you have a very good sense of exactly where a hero lies. There's a lot of, say, similarities to a previous hero, and you can push a little bit harder and just put all your cards out there on the table from the beginning. So there's no one size fits all approach, but we absolutely use both approaches. Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
Let's see. We have some more
I
questions.
think they will love the answer. And it makes sense. It makes absolute sense. I mean,
Yeah, one thing we're just like big proponents of is just staying adaptable, never saying like this is how we do things, just learning and trying new things and experimenting a lot. So
yeah.
Yeah, about heavy hitters.
Yeah. Which one? How do you want me to approach it?
This one, for example.
Yeah. For example, with Reiner, was he chosen from the very beginning to belong to heavy hitters? Was this an idea that you had from the very early concept, or was he added along like something
like
for example Olympia?
Olympia, like James White
Last
said
minute
that
thingy.
Olympia had to enter the set because another hero was about to approach, and then the mechanics didn't work, and you had to change
yep,
to Olympia. So
yep, that
was
is
it Reiner?
that is absolutely what happened on the Olympia side. On the Reinar side, Reinar was there from the beginning. His presence in the set was kind of a core tenet of this set. Like there are moments where we could just go, yep, this is the set that makes this hero. We want to make sure this hero is served and this hero gets better. And it was Reinar's time. Reinar was due some focus, and we 100% committed to paying off those long-standing Reinar fans, just like we did with Azalea and Outsiders. It was absolutely the set that was designed to make sure Azalea was very, very good. We said the same kind of things about Lexi heading into Outsiders, where we just wanted to make that a tier 1 hero without a doubt. And sometimes that's the approach, sometimes it's not. But with the case of Reinar, that was a focal point from the beginning, a key element of the set.
Okay, so also maybe getting support for CC more than a limited aspect, maybe for him to be better at CC instead of KO, for example, that he's very well represented at seal events.
Yeah, limited.
And not
yeah.
Yeah,
Reinar is an interesting one because the thing about Reinar coming into heavy hitters is I think Reinar was pretty good. Like, I just don't think he was a flawed hero. I think Azalea was a legitimately flawed hero. Like, there was a problem with that hero as it existed in its initial state. I do not feel that way about Reinar. I think there are elements that Reinar was always fighting against. There were some metagames that were not good for Reinar, absolutely. But every now and then you'd see a Reinar start to creep into the metagame, win a calling, top 8, a battle harden in the hands of someone we didn't expect it to, like Michael Fung when he top 8'd his battle harden on Reinar, and you're like, this might just be the time, like this hero might be ready to go. So it wasn't quite the same situation as, say, Azalea and Outsiders, whereas like this hero needs a fundamental kind of rework and some very real help. It was more about rounding out Reinar's kit a little bit, giving a few more key pieces of equipment, a few more like just good solid replacements on the curve, making sure you're playing with kind of majestic level things as opposed to very vanilla effects, and creeping that power level up ever so slightly. And honestly, I think a lot of what Reinar needs is just more attention, like more players being like, yes, I am into Reinar. I want to explore this. I want to see what this hero is capable of.
like
Correct.
professional or more competitive players, maybe.
Yeah, and there's absolutely great Reinar players out there, and always has been. And they did tremendous work advancing the hero, but they were just kind of, they needed more help. They needed more people working on it. Like, problems always get solved faster when you have a lot of people focused on a hero, and you see that iterative process show up week-to-week tournament results. So getting a little bit more focus on the hero, I think, is a very, very fine goal, and just that little bit of a nudge towards upper tiers. And I think Reinar is going to be pretty good after heavy hitters.
Yeah, well, I've been trying him already with some heavy hitter cards, and I have to thank you for the Apex Bone Breaker.
Yeah,
And
that's
the
a good one.
sand packing is amazing. Sand packing
Another good one. Yeah.
it's like having
Good
two
cards.
command and conquers in one deck.
Yeah.
It feels really, really nice for disrupting, because it's true that it lacked maybe some disruption or on hits. And this is a
Yep.
kind of different on hit, like a reverse on hit. If it doesn't
Yeah,
hit,
brutes typically don't deal in on hits, right? So they
Mm.
have this restriction that a lot of other classes don't have, and we needed to find creative ways to make sure we got those in, and I think we did that. And I'll leave it up to the Reinhardt players to decide.
let's see.
And also the names of this collection were very funny. We found
Yeah,
them very funny. We are the
good.
translator
I'm glad you enjoyed them.
for
I'm
the
good.
Spanish version of the game. So
Yeah.
I've been working like very closely with those names and freaking out sometimes when trying to actually translate them into something like that made sense and conveyed all of the feelings that were put there, because sand packing is one that is very funny. Well, there are many examples. You know better than anyone. And some people from the community were asking, why Olympia? Why this very like earthy name? I mean, it's something that already exists in our world. So they were wondering why include
Like a planet Earth name.
yes, exactly. Like so something it's so Greek actually
Yeah.
that it surprises a little bit, because everyone else seems to have like a made up name.
That's an interesting question. So I don't work on naming typically. Every now and then I'll design a card, I'll put a name in, the name will stick. Things like heroes. I'm not sure I've ever named a hero before. I don't think that's something that has ever actually gotten across the finish line. And certainly Olympia was not something I had any influence or say over. But I think people kind of get the joke when it comes to our names at this point. We try to be very on the nose, right? And have a sort of like a half pun, a half just very direct allusion to what's going on. And Olympia was to be the gladiator, right? The prize fighter, and just wanted to conjure up those images of the Colosseum, which I think that name absolutely does, and alludes very heavily to what he was inspired by. It is a little earthy. I agree. It's a bit of a departure. But I think it ultimately falls into the same category as a lot of fab names, where it's just designed to put you in the right mindset right away. So you know, oh, this is the gladiator hero.
Yeah, it creates this image in your head automatically.
You think of the arena and
it's true. And what about, does it come does the name come first, or is it the ability? Like, do you think first, it was a question, right? That was here.
Like more the
Do you think
mechanic?
first of the mechanic and then you adapt like the
For example,
aesthetic,
the gold.
the aesthetic of the hero, or is it the hero that comes?
You think of a
I guess it
gladiator
depends, but...
and then you put him like a mechanic regarding gold, or do you think about gold and then you create a gladiator?
Is it the egg or the chicken?
Yeah, it's usually the mechanic first, but again, exceptions to that. Like astute Flesh and Blood players know that Victor Goldmane has been out there for quite some time, right? You look at That All You Got, and Victor Goldmane is quoted on that card. So that was a concept that was always around, and the fact that it just turned out to be a beautiful fit for this is a little bit serendipitous. Like I wouldn't say the presence of gold in this set is only because Victor Goldmane was going to be in the set. Like, it's just sometimes these things just, the threads come together very beautifully. But the most common way things go is that mechanics are created first and then the hero gets named afterwards, most commonly.
Okay. That's what I want.
I don't know. Speaking of heroes and cards and power creep, and is there anything at all that you have actually regretted putting out there? Like any heroes or cards that you have thought, oh my goodness,
Wow.
I should have like kept this for later, or I shouldn't have gone there at all.
I
You
would
can, that
say
you can tell.
yeah,
If you
yeah.
can't tell, it's okay.
No, it's a great question. There is an element of regret I have when it comes to Prism. Uh, I believe, especially now, Prism is a very strong hero. I think that hero ability does very unique things. I think our messaging around Prism was not good. I think we did not handle it in a appropriate way. We kind of just insisted that the burden was on the community, and I don't think that's true. Your players, we're here to serve our players, right? And if we create a puzzle that is either not solvable or not solvable in the way people want to solve it, that's a failing on our part. And there was a lot of concern around Prism, obviously, just defaulting to aura-based strategies. And I think at the time we were developing Prism, might have been exactly when that young Prism showed up at New Zealand Nationals on 20 Life and started 4-0. And that just kind of, it had a lot of effect on how we were approaching the hero. Because if you can play basically a textless hero at 20 life that can have success in a metagame, that's a huge, huge thing that you have to have sitting on your shoulder. And, people laugh about this Prism having 32 life, but a lot of that is rooted in just the inherent light illusionist class and what that class is capable of. And we didn't want to close off that playstyle either. Like, that's a very important part of the Prism experience to folks. So we wanted to offer it, but we wanted to make it hard. And I think in the process, we left the other new side of Prism a little bit too hard to play. And I think we've turned the corner now. Like, I think Prism is a very real deck. I think you're going to see it show up at these tournaments and be well represented. Correct. But I regret the way we approached it upon release. And we should have done more to emphasize that new play style rather than worrying about being vulnerable to that old play style so much.
And she's also one of the most beloved heroes.
Correct, correct.
Right.
And that makes the
Or
mistake
feared.
worse.
It depends. She's either very much loved or feared.
Yeah, and all
Yeah.
of that plays into the
It's strong.
decision making around the hero. It's a very polarizing hero. People who love her. People who hate her, hate her. So it was a very precise needle to thread, but obviously we came up a little bit too far on the weak side. And I'm happy that we've now rectified that in pretty short order. I think we got to where we needed to be pretty quickly, and I think people are going to enjoy seeing Prism at top tables again.
Something that people are very interested in is the player versus environment setting for Flesh and Blood. A lot of people are asking if there's a date for, like, in the future or near future or very foreseeable future.
There is not a set date. There is not a set date. I can tell you that. It is something, though, that we continue to work on and think about. And all of this is driven by wanting this game mode to not feel extra, not feel like a throw. Like, it needs to live up to Flesh and Blood standards. It needs to be great. It needs to be game changing. Just like everything we do, we hold ourselves to an extremely high standard. That's not going to change for something like PvE. Even if the intended delivery date was long ago, it was not ready long ago. It's not ready right now. And we have to get this right. And I understand, like, people are very hungry for this experience. We hear it all the time. And I am very hungry to provide it to them, but it's got to be great. And we're just not going to settle in until it's there.
Yeah, we absolutely understand.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to live up to the expectations.
Yeah. Well, now you're focusing maybe more on Ultimate Pit Fight as well, because Round the Table was
great. We love
Things are going very well
we
in
love
that
it,
space.
by the way.
Yeah, great. I'm so glad to hear that. And I hope you get a chance to do some UPF drafts with heavy hitters. I am getting such good feedback from players experiencing that for the first time. And, it's going to take time to build up that format, but I'm starting to see those little things click into place. And I'm starting to see the community groundswell of support develop and people talking about their Ultimate Pit Fight decks and wanting to play more and more. And something like the Deathmatch Arena Fable, hopefully showing how seriously we take this format and how much we want to provide cool experiences to our UPF players. That the Fable of the set can be very much focused on that format. That's a big deal. Fables and Flesh and Blood are a very big deal. And to kind of commit to the UPF space with that, I hope it shows people how seriously we take developing out this game mode.
A strong message.
Melody made quite an entrance.
Yeah, Melody.
Like that was impressive. People loved her. It was crazy. Yeah. I definitely want to see more of that girl.
Yeah.
Like I'm really invested.
Yeah.
And I'm a Sienna player as well. And that is a lot for me. I mean, if I ever live to see an adult, I will die of excitement.
We'll see. Look, anything
She's too
can
cool
happen.
for that. I get it, because with all of the specs, I mean, it might be too much. But she's just she's just
she's gonna be the best. She's gonna be the best Blitz deck someday. Like it is going to happen.
Dynamite.
Unquestionably.
Yeah. I've been playing nonstop in Blitz and Azalea in CC, and I've been losing every game for almost 2 years. But I'm
Sienna is getting
I'm here for it.
Every specialization in outsiders, the Riptide ones, Riptide traps.
With the Riptide traps. That is amazing. That's
little by little.
That's cool. Yeah. And I'm here.
She's a fascinating hero.
What else there is?
I don't know. We don't have much time.
There was the Tekla thing.
Yeah, Tekla.
People asking if he will be able to use Singularity and fight arcane damage someday. Like they're worried about that. I guess Kano is like...
Weaknesses in Flesh and Blood don't tend to last forever. That's what I'll say. And all these heroes seem to have a way of figuring out solutions to these things that plague them over time. So...
Okay.
What else there? Oh yeah, of course, the elemental.
Yeah.
Will we see those talents again? I mean, as a ranger, when I wanted to try and get a win, I would play Lexi, but not anymore, of course. So I'm also curious.
Tales of Aria is the set that basically
was
made me hard commit to Flesh and Blood as like, yep, this is my thing. Like I love everything about this game, the vibes. If we don't return to that elemental space again someday, I would be mystified. Absolutely, that is a very, very important part of where we've been in Flesh and Blood, and I just love those concepts. I think they're great, and they're not dead. Absolutely, we will explore that again someday.
So cool. People will be thrilled.
Yeah.
And some not so much.
Yeah, well, it's like everything, right? Like these things that create this polarization, it's very important to create strong opinions in your players. And some of our best things...
Ice was very, very, very polarizing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we recognize that. And I do think, when the time comes for Ice again, it'll look a little different. I think that we made some mistakes with Ice. Things like Sips, being able to create Frostbites were not always in our best interest. I think of the Lexi hero ability, the Icelander hero ability, even if Lexi ultimately didn't settle in that mode of playing. It just, Frostbites need to be a little bit harder to come by in future iterations, I believe.
Yes.
Well, I know that James White said it with Fluke box with John about the adult heroes being majestic now.
Yeah, some people were asking if even if they don't take a slot from the rarity, if you're not worried about people getting a little bit anxious when they don't get the adult hero when opening boxes, because it's kind of difficult to get them. So I mean, it's not like they're going to be very expensive majestics, but is there a reason, like beside draft booster, for why the distribution of those heroes are majestics?
Yeah, I just have to defer to James's answer on that. Not really, aside that my focus is more on the actual text of the cards, less on composition of booster packs. But I think all of the reasons he put forth for why those are appearing in the Majestic slot are extremely valid. And I do think it is one of those things where the optics on it are way worse than the reality of it. Like they are just really rarer tokens. Like I know they have that little M in the bottom, but they're just appearing less often. And you don't need 200 adult victors.
Yeah,
Like that's just not a
absolutely.
useful thing to have in a box. And these heroes are special. They're the headliners of our game. And I think, you know, them being tokens kind of makes them feel less special than they
I
actually
must say
are. So
we
That's
haven't
true.
had that experience.
No, well,
We opened
at the pre-releases we
at the
open
pre-releases and we
Olympia,
got some of
Betsy.
the adult
Yeah,
heroes, so we
yeah,
haven't
yeah.
we haven't
And
got
it feels
that
nice.
feeling.
It
But some
feels
people
nice
apparently have
to.
been opening several boxes and not really getting the heroes, and they were becoming a little bit like, why not just they were wondering.
It has
yeah,
to be special to open an adult hero.
Yeah,
Like
and you like the
it's
new
cool.
the
Like,
new art.
yeah, of course.
You love the new art.
Extended art or
Yeah.
yeah. No,
That.
they're
I would have loved
beautiful. And
a different art for Azalea
Azalea,
back
yeah.
in Outsiders. That would have been amazing.
like Reiner.
Yeah, I even got an altered one for having besides my token for.
Yeah. Like
Like,
yeah, I think the alt art is cool, honestly. Like that's just a hit for me. And you know, people always they have different opinions, and it is what it is. I respect everyone's opinion, but I think those majestic heroes are here to stay, and I think there's a good reason for them to be here. So
They're cool. You're happy with your new Rhino, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm really happy.
we're quite happy with heavy hitters. In fact,
Yeah,
we loved it.
yeah.
Honestly,
We
great.
have fun at the
We're
pre-releases.
so happy. Yeah, we're so happy to see the response to Heavy Hitters. It's been sort of beyond our wildest expectations.
There's been a lot
People
of
seem to
praise,
just be having
honestly.
a great time, and
Yeah.
that's why we do this. That's why we make this game. We want people to have fun and enjoy themselves and have a good time playing the game, opening their packs, and finding their new favorite heroes. And I think we're seeing a lot of that with Heavy Hitters. So it's been great to see.
Yeah, it's true. There are already main victors, Betsy's, Chaos.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Love it or hate it.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
people were crazy about it. Yeah.
Yeah, they were signing up. They were in. So it's great to see.
Yeah.
Well, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much, Bryan.
My pleasure, my friends.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So
really,
cool.
thank you so much for this.
Yeah.
For answering all the questions of the community.
And ours too.
And ours too. Yeah.
And being
very
so,
happy to.
being
and
so
shout outs.
nice and approachable.
Oh, thank you. It's easy because when I was in Spain for World Championships, your country was so beautiful and so welcoming to not only myself, but all of us from Legend Story Studios and all of our players.
Spain.
Yeah, very, very, very beautiful. I had an absolute blast. My family had an absolute blast. So, you know, kindness is given in return, and I'm happy to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And that's it.